These two decans of Capricorn are best dealt with together as their message is so closely related. There are two arrows depicted in the constellations, but they have very different purposes. The arrow in Sagittarius has not been loosed yet. It is aimed directly at the heart of the Scorpion and will find its target at the end of the Messianic kingdom, when Satan is finally cast into the lake of fire. By stark contrast, the arrow in Sagitta has already left the bow. Its target was the Son of God himself and occurred at the cross. It was of this that the Spirit of Christ spoke when the psalmist wrote, Psalm 38 verse 2, "Thine arrows stick fast in me, and thy hand presseth me sore." In the suffering servant passage of Isaiah 53 verse 4 following, the prophet says, "The Messiah was stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was pierced," and could say with Job, "The arrows of the Almighty are within me." Job chapter 6 verse 4. Here is a picture of all three decans of Capricorn. Sagitta, the arrow, Aquila, the eagle, and Delphinus, the dolphin. This is part of Hercules, the mighty man over here, and here we've got the tail of Serpens, the serpent. So as you can see, the arrow has left the bow, and it's pictured in flight. The scriptures tell us that it is God himself who has fired it. The work of redemption is all of God. He is both sacrifice and sacrificer. You'll recall that in the constellation of Lupus, the victim, he was slain by the spear of the dual-natured centaur who represented the Messiah. As Jesus said, "Nobody takes my life from me. I lay it down of my own accord." We may recall the story of the Aquila, where Abraham and Isaac went up the mount, Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. It was father sacrificing son. There was no third party involved. It was all of God. And here we've got the same message. The arrow and the pierced eagle teach that God ordained from ages past that he would give his own son to redeem mankind. This message is in perfect accord with the scriptures. The work which the arrow accomplishes is seen in the slain victim of Lupus, the sacrificed goat of Capricorn, and now in this stricken eagle that plummets towards the earth. Bullinger poses an interesting question. Quote, "There are many other stars in the heavens in a straighter line which would better serve for an arrow. Why are these stars chosen? Why is the arrow placed here?" And he gives the answer. What explanation can be given except that the revelation in the stars and in the Bible are both from the inspiration of the same Spirit? Unquote. A casual glance at the night sky gives us the impression of countless pinpoints of light unrelated to one another. But when we learn the ancient names and the groupings of the constellations, we realize that there is a complex order. There is a drama being enacted with players, scenes and acts and even scenery, more complex and profound than any Shakespearean play, and every point of light is essential to the whole. The great conductor Toscanini couldn't attend a very important venue due to ill health, and he listened to the performance by radio. When it was over, he looked very concerned, and they asked him the reason, to which he replied, "The violin section was lacking one violin." This was hard to believe, being as there would normally be as many as 30 violins. But after inquiry, they found that one of the violinists had been unable to come due to feeling unwell. God named and positioned every star. They all count. He has a perfect ear. By the same token, every human being counts. The names of the stars in the eagle are as follows. The brightest is here, Altair. This is an Arabic word and means the wounding. In Hebrew it's called Halal, which means wounded, pierced or slain. The next brightest star is in the throat, right here, and is called Al-Shain, the bright, from the Hebrew root shani, meaning scarlet coloured, as in Joshua chapter 2 verse 18, where it speaks about Rahab had scarlet cord. So all these names are tying up with the scriptures, you see. There is a star in the eagle's back right here. Tarared, it's called, and that means wounded or torn, from the Hebrew word taraf. A star in the lower wing here is al-Ker, which means the piercing. And over here in the tail, we've got al-Okal, which means wounded in the heel. Are these names and their arrangement all the result of pure coincidence and are really meaningless? Or do they testify to the wisdom and glory of the one who telleth the number of the stars and giveth them all their names? Psalm 147 verse 4. We must all make our own decision. The final decan in this series, the dolphin, will complete the story.